everyone, and welcome to the VitaCast episode 3. Recording on Tuesday, November 5th, 2013. Here today I have Kyle Wakeling.
Hey, this is Kyle.
I also have Brian Sharon.
I go by Brian Bear Sharon, thank you.
My bad, I'll say that next time. And also Jonathan Harding Rathbone.
Hello, and good evening, or good morning if you're in America.
And he's sick, but he's still here creeping. Jasper. I'm not going to say your last name because I already forgot how to say it. But you can't say nothing about it, so. Anyways, he's going to type angrily at me. Anyways, let's get this podcast rolling. Let's start off with what I've been playing. So, I've been playing a lot of Killzone Mercenary, doing a lot of the multiplayer. Still haven't put that down, and I don't think I will. Also, Castle Storm, we're going to talk about that a lot more later, so I won't go too much in that. And then I've played a bit of FIFA 13. I'm not going to get FIFA 14 because, yeah, I think we all know why. Also played a bit of Valhalla Knights 3, and once again, there's going to be more on that later with Brian talking about some of that. And then I played some Crazy Market, which is that free-to-play game gets kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't really like it. But I played it enough to get a trophy, so I didn't have a 0% thing there. And I also played the Cinemora game, that free game on Plus right now, so go grab that if you haven't. And lastly, I played some good old Madden 13. Still playing that, even though it's been out forever. So yeah, Jonathan, you've been playing anything?
Yeah, sorry to sound a bit like a broken record, but I've been playing World Rally Championship 4. But I'm getting near to the Platinum Trophy on it now, so I've put some serious time into that. I've also been playing the PSP version of Gran Turismo because I really, really desperately want a Vita version, and it's like the closest thing that I can get to it. And even though it doesn't have a full career mode, it has lots of cars and lots of tracks, and actually, for a PSP game, looks pretty good on the Vita screen. I've also been playing Firmins, which is a 2D physics-based puzzle game where you have to set up all the different things that are on the screen. So, like, you'll have ice cubes and trampolines and things like that. And your aim is basically getting the Firmins from point A to the nest, which is point B. My full review of it is on the website. I really didn't think it was that great. I found it quite boring, but, that's part of the job. Okay, how about you, Kyle?
Personally, I've been ignoring my Vita just a little bit. I took my I know, guys, but I took my birthday and pretty much sat down and played Dead Space right from beginning to end with the plasma cutter only. So I need to get that trophy and had to sit down and play that. Then I sat down and in 2 sittings played Dead Space 2. So I kind of destroyed those 2 games. Other than that, I have been playing Vita a little bit, just not as much as I should be. Been playing a little bit of Lone Survivor. I've been playing Ridge Racer, which I'm going to review in a little bit. And that love-to-hate game, Angry Birds Star Wars, which Activision sent me, but I really don't know why, because it's a $40, $2 game. And I just can't really say much more about that other than it's Angry Birds, you know what you're getting. And it's $40.
If you go trade it in, you could just go buy a whole bunch of copies of something better.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna have to finish it first, and then I can review it, and then I can look at it and decide what I'm going to do to get it away from me.
On the bright side, you might have a collector's item, Kyle.
That's true. Probably 5 people bought it. When they lose them, and I only have my copy. So, Brian, what are you playing?
Yeah, I've been playing quite a few things, but outside of reviews, I just finished the campaign for Killzone Mercenaries, so can I get a round of applause? Woo! It was good. I enjoyed myself. I got to dive back in and do a little bit of the extra missions, but I've been reviewing a lot of stuff for review. I'm currently reviewing Valhalla Knights 3, which it's going to be a controversial review, so look out for that about next week. But mainly, you might have seen on the website that I reviewed Castle Storm, so I spent a lot of time with Castle Storm with Tyler in the multiplayer. But I reviewed the game. I gave it a 4.4 out of 5, which we consider excellent, because that's what the game is. If you don't know what Castle Storm is, it's a bit complicated, but to put it simply, it's a physics-based projectile game. If you think of Angry Birds, that kind of fits the mold. It also incorporates real-time strategy and action RPG elements. Just to give you a short summary of why the game is awesome and why you should buy it, it incorporates all these different mechanics, and unbelievably, it does it well. You will be doing a million things at once, and you'll never feel overburdened with the chaos appearing on screen. And it's just an enjoyable experience. And the campaign, given that the fact that it's such a hardcore game mechanically, there's a Featherlight campaign with a cartoon-esque story, and you'll just have a good time with it. You'll have a smile on your face the entire time you play. And like I said, me and Tyler got a chance to play a bit of multiplayer, and we were cursing, smiling, and cheering the whole time. It's a mixed bag as far as difficulty, but you'll love every minute of it. In fact, we got a chance to speak with Bobby Lercher, who's the PR manager or community manager from Zen Studios. So if you guys just take a listen, you can listen to her jump on the podcast.
Hello, Bobby. How you doing?
Good.
So, many of you people might not know that are listening, but why don't you tell them, Bobby, who you are?
I am Bobby Lercher. I'm the community manager, and I do some PR and customer support at Zen Studios.
Awesome. So you have a new title coming up. Would you like to explain what that's all about?
Sure, yeah. It's a newer, older title kind of thing. I'll explain. So it's Castle Storm. It's Castle Storm. It's our, see if I can remember our fun little way of remembering it. It's a RTS physics-based destruction, Angry Birds style RPG elements type game. It's our funky little mashup of kind of every genre we could think of.
Right.
And it's coming out on PSN today. It's already out on XBLA and Steam, but who cares about that? We're here about...
Exactly.
Right?
This is all about the Vita and PS3, so...
Totally.
Awesome. So, Brian, he's one of our writers, and he's in the podcast with us, actually reviewed the game. So, Brian, did you want to take it away from here?
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. So yeah, as Tyler was saying, I reviewed Castle Storm, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit and gave it a 4.4 out of 5, which we consider excellent. So thumbs up.
Love that. Thank you so much.
No problem. It was a great game. I wanted to talk to you because Castle Storm does a great job of integrating all those different kinds of gameplay, which you mentioned. But to be honest with you, the ballista work, which is the standard weapon in the game, it takes quite a long time to get used to aiming it. I was curious as to why you didn't take advantage, or when I say you, I mean Zen Studios didn't take advantage of the touchscreen on the Vita, which I think could have smoothed the process out a little bit.
Right. I hear you. The ballista, it does take a little while to get used to. Once you get it, once you get into it, it gets better. But yeah, I agree. I think the reason why they didn't do a whole lot with the Vita and the touchscreen was just timing. It was just all about just trying to get it out there and get it ready. I think they probably just didn't have enough time to really bring out the features, using the touch features and stuff like that. So it was probably just a timing issue. We're in like a huge crunch right now with, new consoles coming out and Star Wars Pinball and Castle Storm. We're trying to get that onto more platforms and stuff. So I think it was probably just an issue of time, really.
Well, that makes sense. Also, I wanted to talk to you because we were talking about the mixture of gameplay elements that Castle Storm incorporates, and there's quite a few, and all things considered, it could have been more of a hardcore experience, but you guys chose to highlight it with a campaign that was pretty feather light and more akin to a Saturday morning cartoon. Was that a intentional direction you guys were pursuing?
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of one of our first, we have like a mini golf game, and we have a couple other things, but we have Kickbeat, but this was kind of like our first real, mashup style game, and so it was kind of, the art style kind of lent itself to being kind of a funnier, sillier game, and so, anytime I talk to any of my coworkers, they're always joking and laughing, and it's always just kind of, very lighthearted and fun and stuff. So I think it just kind of was inspired by, who we are and how we act and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't think they take themselves too seriously. Like, even in the pinball stuff, like they're always doing like fun, like silly things. Like Epic Quest was a very, it was our own, it wasn't licensed or anything, so it was our own original stuff, so we could just do whatever with it. And it's very silly and fun and stuff like that. So I think it was just kind of our personality coming through in the game, really.
Yeah, and I wanted to thank you guys. You guys were gracious enough to give us a pair of codes so we could review the co-op as well and the multiplayer.
Yeah.
So luckily, me and Tyler got a chance to dive into it for a few hours, and we had a blast. I was surprised that the multiplayer was as fun as it was. Was there a big focus from the beginning on multiplayer? Because it seems like it was a big highlight for the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we kind of wanted to make it so, you can do, there's a ton of single-player stuff, but we also wanted to make it, so everybody could join in and play with each other and stuff like that. Because, I mean, we're so focused on pinball that, and that's definitely like a one-person thing. I mean, you can score chase and you can kind of do multiplayer, but it's definitely like your own kind of thing. You're always just playing against yourself, kind of. So we definitely wanted to bring more of the multiplayer, atmosphere into it and have people make their own castles and destroy them and play against each other. And I think it worked out.
Oh, yeah. I one of the things I really like is the castle creation thing. Like, I was not expecting that when I started playing, and I got myself lost and like, ooh, I could do this, I could do that. I'm going to build this, I'm going to build that, and then I'd wreck it and build something totally different. It was just something I wasn't expecting at all in that.
Yeah, it's kind of like Legos. Like, that's kind of what we go off of. Like, it's just,
yeah, exactly.
You're a little kid, like, you build all these like Lego fortresses, and then you like walk through them and stomp them to bits.
That's my childhood right there.
Shoot like Nerf guns at them or something. Like, that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and like Brian was saying, me and him spent so much time on it, and we would get mad, and we'd get happy, and then more mad again, and then I don't know if I speak for Brian, but I really was getting mad, but then also like, yes, this is awesome. Oh God, I'm mad right now.
I hear you. Even just going through, like, I've played it on obviously like all 3 platforms, but I've been going through and trying to get 5 stars on each one, which you have to do on hard to get all 5 stars.
Right.
Some of them are just so unbelievably hard. Like, I have to just, like, force myself to not smash the controller into my desk. I'm like, why is it so hard? I should be better at this. But then
that's why you should.
And they laugh at me, and they're like, ha.
Yeah.
Well, I think me and Tyler both jumped into the multiplayer expecting to have our way with it, and we were surprised about how difficult it can be. We got overwhelmed a few times during some of the waves.
Yeah, and that's what everyone says. They're like, I was pleasantly surprised to see how much there actually is going on in the game. And once we get into some of the DLC that we'll have later on, you'll get more weapons and more troops and all different kinds of things. So it gets even deeper.
Nice. Do you guys know of a date for that, or is that just not known at the moment?
No idea, honestly. It'll probably, I would think, probably this year. I don't know how far behind we are on DLC for PSN, but yeah, it's definitely coming. So keep an eye out.
Okay, well that's good. Good to know.
Yeah, and we did 2 more. We did 2 more campaigns. There's the Warrior Queen, and then there's From Outcast to Savior. So we'll have those out hopefully pretty soon.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So, did you have anything else, Brian, that you wanted to ask?
No, maybe somebody else wanted to open it up. Anybody have any questions regarding Castle Storm? Don't everybody ask at once. They're all shy.
Well, yeah, there's a girl in the podcast. No one wants to talk.
Bad.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I think you guys have done a very good summary of it. That's the only reason that I stayed quiet. Because I mean, it does intrigue me. It sounds like a game that could be designed for everyone. So I suppose it's good in that respect. But I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things that I heard when it got first announced, and when I saw it going to Xbox Live Arcade, I was like, oh come on, what's this? So I was praying for a PSN release, and here it is. So I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, if you ever see us do exclusive, like what looks might be exclusive, that's probably not the case. Even though, we obviously had it on XBLA first and then Steam shortly after. We don't like doing exclusives anymore. Like, we've had a couple of, like, pinball tables in the past that are exclusive, and it's just too many people want our stuff on too many platforms, so we kind of do a bunch of them. And, so yeah, we don't really do exclusives anymore. So with Castle Storm, we're trying to bring it to more platforms. So yeah, I mean, it was always the plan to do PSN. It's just timing and contracts and stuff like that. So it'll be here today. So
all right, and it's $9.99, right?
$9.99. Yep, and it's cross-buy entitled, so you get it on both Vita and PS3.
Everyone loves that. That's good.
Moving away from Castle Storm for a quick second, it seems that lately you guys, and by you guys I mean Zen Studios, have been experimenting with a lot of different forms of gameplay. So if you look at Kickbeat, you're experimenting with combat and rhythm, and then if you look at Castle Storm, you're experimenting with a whole plethora of different kinds of gameplay. Why is it important for you guys to be juggling all sorts of varieties of gameplay?
I just feel like it's, like I said before, like it's kind of just our personality. Like, we are all gamers, like, and there's a lot of like hardcore pinball guys in the studio. This was just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, we could have just done, castle versus castle, like smash each other's fortress kind of game. But what if we did this? It was just kind of like one of those things that was like, oh, what if we added this? What if we added this? And it just kind of turned into this huge step of like so many different things. And it took us a long time to get that balance, really there. So it doesn't feel all, funky and weird. And it took us a little over 3 years total to get it going. And it was a pretty small team, if I remember, only about 5 people ever working on the game at any one time. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just kind of a reflection of like our personalities as gamers, and like just kind of sitting around going, oh, it'd be so cool if we had this, or if we did this in the game, or added this. So that's just kind of how I started.
Another thing I attribute to Zen Studios, and it's kind of a dirty word in the industry, but in this case I think it applies, is that all your games are sort of accessible. And by accessible, I mean anybody can really pick them up and have a great time. There's a lot of depth to the game if you're looking to have it, but if you're looking to pick it up and have a great time, there's always that in a Zen Studios game. That's something important to you guys as a studio?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've done pinball for so long, and, at first it was kind of like, oh, people who are, old school pinball players that grew up with it, and you can't find machines anymore, they'll be into it. And, as we saw more and more, like, younger people are getting into it, and, we just kind of wanted to keep that going. And so Castle Storm, it's very kid-friendly. Like, you can go into the options and turn off the blood, so it's not quite as, it's obviously not a gory game by any means, but it's rated T, so it's still, there's a little bit of violence and stuff like that, but it's nothing, like, too over the top, and it's not too kiddish. So it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, oh, this could be fun. But once you get into it, there's so much more to it, and there's, silly dialogue and stuff like that. So it was definitely important for us to keep it open to, anyone who likes games. And we're finding out that a lot of people are pleasantly surprised with it and didn't expect much, but, once they got playing it, they really loved it.
Yeah. We forgot to ask, but this is coming out on in Europe, right? The same day?
Yep. Actually, tomorrow it'll be out in Europe.
All right. And what's the price on that one? Do you know?
I believe it's $9.99 over there as well.
Awesome. Okay. Do you have anything else, Brian?
No, she did a great job of answering all my questions, so I'm pretty good.
Do you have anything else to add, Bobby?
Nope. Like I said, there's demos for it. I don't know if I said that. There's a demo for it if you're not totally sure on it. Download the demo, check it out, see what you think. I think it looks awesome on the Vita screen. That was like my most anticipated thing was getting to play it on Vita, because that's my baby.
Oh yeah. I love having that game on the go. I don't even know if I'll play it on the PS3, to be honest, because why not? When it's in my pocket, I can go wherever I want.
I know.
And the bite-sized missions really make it fit for the platform, too.
Yeah. I played it a little bit on PS3 for a live stream, and then as soon as I got done, I was like, man, I really just want to play this on Vita.
Is there any difference besides maybe graphic power? But between the two versions?
Nope, I think they're pretty much identical. I mean, there's a few, like, you can do menus on the touch screen. I believe you can, like, tap, like, options and stuff like that. But
right.
Gameplay, it's all, I'm pretty sure it's identical.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. Is there anything you'd like to add for anything else coming up? Maybe you guys have a secret project you'd like to tell us about?
Let me think. We've announced Doctor Strange. We announced that at New York Comic Con, so that'll be coming to pretty much anywhere you can get our pinball games. So definitely PSN, and that should be out in December. Hopefully, we don't get delayed or anything crazy. I think it's pretty close to being done, so December shouldn't be too hard for us to hit. And that will be just a single Marvel table release. And then we'll have more Star Wars stuff after that. So something really exciting to look forward to. And then one other table is coming up. It was supposed to be out this fall, but we got pushed back a little bit. So hopefully early first quarter next year. So we haven't started talking about that one yet, but
time to start.
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, thank you so much, Bobby, for taking time out of your day to talk to us hooligans.
Anytime. Just let me know when you guys want to talk about pinball or Castle Storm or whatever.
Well, yeah, you're following me on Twitter, so if there's anything you want to talk about, just message me and be like, hey, I want to be on the podcast, and we'll get you back in.
Where can people find you on Twitter, Bobby?
What's that?
Where can people find you on Twitter if they want to get a hold of you?
I am at Barbie Babam. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much again for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, Bobby.
Thanks very much.
See ya.
Bye, Bobby.
All right, so that was our interview with Bobby. I'd like to go to Brian again to talk about the new releases for this week.
Yep.
Take it away, Brian.
Sorry, we have a couple of new releases this week. We have Amen 2, which is available today, as well as Castle Storm, which is available today in North America and tomorrow in Europe.
Awesome. All right, so very short new releases, which is sometimes good. Yeah. We got Castle Storm on there, which is awesome, so that's definitely something to look out for. But let's head on over to the news with John. Take it away, John.
Okay, we've got a few topics this week. They're not quite as meaty as they were last week, but one of the really big things that came to mind that I've noticed is the scoring that they've been giving Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. It's got a Metacritic of 62 out of 100, whereas the user score is 7.4. The user reviews on there have been giving it sort of 7 or 8 out of 10. I've got a little quote from one of the reviews from Destructoid, which gave it a 3 out of 10. Now, it says, I wanted to like Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. It took a style of game I enjoy, but put everything together inside it so shoddily I wondered if a little more development time wouldn't have served this game better. However, since the console version of Origins is as buggy as it is, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that Blackgate feels just as unfinished and sloppy. At least it doesn't take more than 5 hours to beat. Now, those of you who've actually been following the two games may have noticed that they're made by different developers and they're also different styles of game. The console versions of Batman are created by Rocksteady, whereas the developer for the PlayStation Vita, Blackgate, is Armature. So I put it to you guys, do you think that there's too many comparisons with the console things then, when they're trying to clearly make a game that's not the same as the console versions? You know, it's like a Metroidvania, so it's different.
Yeah, I think there's some things that are just shouldn't be compared. Like what you're saying is, you know, they're totally two different games, and I don't think it's fair to say that the Vita version is a lesser game because of the console counterpart. I think it's kind of pathetic that reviewers are even bringing that up. It's kind of an excuse, like maybe they didn't even really play it because they didn't really care. I think each game should give a fair chance to, you know, have a valid opinion about it and not be like, oh, it wasn't, you know, like the console version, so why should I care about it? You know what I mean? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
I get what you're saying. Personally, I think they just named it wrong. Whereas it's Batman Arkham Origins, the Blackgate doesn't really fit in with that name of game. Like I know it's supposed to be derivative from it, but it's not really the same game at the core. Like they're targeting two different audiences here. It's not a port. Well, it is a port from 3DS, but it's not a port as far as from the console version directly. One's a Metroidvania, one's an action, adventure type game. They really don't, compare to each other, and you shouldn't be doing that unless it is a port. I just wanted to read here what Jasper has to say. Quote from his review in The Working. Jasper says, "The concept of Blackgate is stale, but everything save for the map and some annoying saving glitches works. It's a competent Metroidvania and maybe not the best in the genre, but the gameplay is fun." Sounds like he's enjoying it so far. We'll have to, see what comes of his review.
Yeah, as far as the glitches are concerned, I actually did hear that apparently there's a game-breaking glitch at one point where if you go in the wrong direction, a door is open and then you head back and then it's closed and you're completely stuck and have to restart. But I'm not sure what part of the game that is in.
I only have one question. Does Batman survive?
I would assume so, considering the other Batman games, but that's just a shot in the dark.
Are you sure? I don't want to spoil anything out there for the crowd.
Yuki, our fact checker, go check.
You guys actually expect Batman to survive? That's never going to happen. Guy doesn't know anything.
Yuki says the others are just clones, so... Spoiler alert.
Sorry, guys, we ruined it for you. That's how Batman wins. He sends out clones.
Yep. It's all coming together now.
But yeah, I mean, obviously I haven't played Blackgate myself. Clearly, it's a game that isn't perfect. It does have some flaws, but when you look at the reviews that have actually been released, so many of them compare it to the PlayStation 3 or the console versions, which is a completely different game, and it's annoying because it's the sort of thing that's happened many times before. And to be honest, I don't really think it should happen.
I guess that's really all we have to talk about, really, unless there's something else someone wants to add to this. Nope. Okay.
No, I suppose there's really not a great deal else you can really say on the subject. The next news article that I want to touch upon is that the PlayStation Vita doesn't require internet or Wi-Fi for remote play, sort of. What happened was on Twitter, people have been asking Shuei Yoshida about whether remote play would work should your internet fail, because obviously, I don't know what it's like for you guys in America, but in the UK there are quite a few areas that are sort of in hills and valleys where the internet connection's nothing like what it should be. As a country, the UK is quite far behind, I believe, in the sort of the broadband speed race. So they've been asking him on Twitter, and he said once you registered them, yes, and even if the router is down as well. So what he's saying is that you're going to be able to choose which setup is going to be best for you. So when you're remote playing, you can either do it via your home Wi-Fi router, or you can do it via the internet as well, or you can do it via the PlayStation 4 itself. So you would hook up directly. It still works as Wi-Fi, but it's ad hoc directly from the PlayStation 4, so it bypasses your router completely.
Yeah, I just want to mention that that's sort of the same thing as they have in the PS3. Like, you can broadcast a signal from the PlayStation 3 and jump in that way, too. So it's sort of, they're not doing anything new here.
The next article that we're going to be looking at this week is Ubisoft in their gigantic U-turn, ditching online passes. Hooray! So basically, for those of you who don't know, although I'll be surprised if anybody listening doesn't, an online pass is where you buy a game and inside the game's box you will have a one-time access code so that you are able to access all of the online features. So then should you go and buy a game second-hand and the original user's already used that code, you then have to go onto the PlayStation Network and buy an online pass separately to be able to access all of the online content. Now, the the fight with sort of like the gamers versus Ubisoft started with gated content on Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and it got so irate, if you like, that they decided that they're going to ditch their online passes completely. And this isn't the first time it's happened either. EA did a very, very similar thing back in May. I was reading a comment from one person saying that the FIFA series of games, while the online passes were on, they actually required an online pass for the character creation tool to play custom games offline. So it's like gating stuff that's offline as well. So I don't think any of us are going to be in a disagreement here that removing these stupid, ridiculous online passes is a bad idea, is it?
Yeah, I think it's about time. I don't think a lot of people like the online passes, to be honest. I mean, all it's really achieving is to limit people just grabbing a used game and not giving the developer sales. It's making companies like GameStop and other used game stores make money. So I think it's good that they're getting rid of it, but they should have done it a long time ago.
But let's clarify, they're not doing it on all titles. It's just every title post Assassin's Creed 4, am I correct?
I think so. I don't know.
It's going to be on all titles, is what they're saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
every title post Assassin's Creed 4 or retroactive? I believe it's just every title post Assassin's Creed 4.
I'm not sure whether it's retroactive or not, but I know that people who paid for the online pass for Assassin's Creed 4 can speak to Ubisoft directly, I believe, to get a refund for it.
I don't believe they're giving refunds, but I believe it is retroactive because somebody was talking on one of the forums to someone else regarding the fact that they were going to be able to play Most Wanted now without a pass on PlayStation 3. So I took it as that's how it was going, and it seemed to be that there was a lot of people talking that way with nobody refuting it in the popular channels.
Yeah, the message is definitely mixed, though, from the official word anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sketchy thing.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because they haven't done it yet. Like, they haven't actually changed any of the older stuff yet.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't done it retroactive. They've just said that they're going to do it, so people are assuming that, they haven't done it or whatever.
Ooh, Jasper has a good point in the chat where he says Most Wanted is EA and not Ubisoft.
I must be thinking of some other game. I know I read it.
Assassin's Creed Carding?
No. It wasn't that.
Yuki said, I don't know if you guys have mentioned this already, I don't think you have, that it's a good decision since many people fund their new games by selling old ones so that they don't hurt themselves financially over time. And I think that's really a positive argument for it. When people are in a situation where they don't have endless resources to buy games, then they are going to trade in those games to buy other games. So whether the second-hand market really affects new game sales that much, I mean, it's always a topic that's been open for debate, and it's never really one that's been answered. But personally, I don't really think that it does.
I agree there somewhat. The thing about the whole new and used games angle, to me, is the fact that they lowered the price for games that are with the online passes and lowered some of the prices from the games that come from companies that use online passes. I don't think they're going to put them up once they stop using, just because of the fact that now that they have them down, it's like with gas prices. They get to a certain point, they go, oh, well, we had a shortage or whatever. When they get surplus, you don't see it go back down. Like, you don't see yourself get a better price. They just leave it where it is, and they just go, oh, well, that's the business. It could be the exact same thing with this. So your used games might be not worth anything to be even trading in used. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in a way, it's good for consumers, but as far as the entire industry, without going too far into it, it's a difficult situation because we want to see developers and publishers get the money they deserve for the titles rather than the retailers, but it's understandable that the consumer is pinched at the moment as far as finances, and that not everybody has the ability to buy a brand new game at $70. So in a way, it's a good thing, but we'll see how it pans out on the developer side of things.
Okay, the next news article that we have is the Rising Phoenix logo spotted in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, Assassin's Creed Rising Phoenix has been rumoured for quite a while to be potentially a PlayStation Vita exclusive game that was originally due to release in October this year if ExtraLife.es, a Spanish retailer, is to believe. They're the ones that actually leaked you being able to pre-order it on their website, and it was subsequently removed, but it said it was going to be out on October the 10th. Now, Ubisoft haven't said anything really about it. They always come back with no comment every time they get asked, but since then, now Assassin's Creed Black Flag is out, there's a gentleman that's taken a screenshot of the Assassin's Creed Rising Phoenix logo. It's in one of the modern sections of the game, so it kind of makes you wonder whether it's either a Vita game that's been delayed or whether it's a Vita game that they've decided to shift multi-platform. I don't know. It's one that we can only really speculate about at the moment. But it shows that, if it's in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is only just releasing now, then, they've got to be working on it, right?
Yeah, I think Brian had a good point that it's probably a karting game. They're going after the karting market, and this is their chance. I'm excited. You guys excited for a karting Assassin's Creed game? No? Just me?
Not everybody at once.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
You like triple knife people in front of you and...
No, they're all historically based cars from different eras. You got a cart, you have a steam engine. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the Flintstones vehicle, you got to run real quick to get going. Yeah, there we go. That's all I got.
Personally, I think I'm not sure it's going to be a game. Just reading some of the remarks and some of the comments we got when we actually posted the original news article. A couple of people were saying that the studio that's marked on the screenshots or whatever that we saw previously is a movie studio, and they could be doing a movie for it. So it might be an iteration for a movie, not a game.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I mean, the franchise is now at the point where they're having to seriously look and think and sort of try and refresh it, hence why Black Flag is so far removed with all the Yara pirates and all that from, So I suppose perhaps if they drum up enough success and create a film and release that out, it will sort of reinvigorate sales a little bit, because it's getting to the point now where, for me at least personally, I mean, I love Liberation, but it did feel like the series was starting to get stale. I felt like they released too many games too quickly, and so consumer sort of interest has been waning a little bit of late. Okay, the last topic that we're going to be looking at this week is the PlayStation Vita Update 3.00. So this update has gone live today, and it does have a couple of things that we've talked about before. The PS4 Link app that we've discussed previously that allows second screen gameplay and remote play is now in a little bubble on the screen on your Vita, so that's ready for when you get your PlayStation 4 if you're deciding to get one this Christmas. There's a parental controls application that's also been added to the home screen, so you can now manage the duration of gameplay and use of the games and videos that have parental controls involved. So I suppose if anybody out there has children, or they're thinking of getting one of their children a PlayStation Vita, they can now cut them off after a certain length of time, which to me is very cruel, but yeah, I get the meaning behind it. On the rest of the stuff that's in there, we have, in the photos section, you now have a panoramic camera setting, so you can take 360 degree arty-farty sort of shots around your living room or wherever you want to. The Friends application layout has been improved, so there's now 4 separate tabs. You can select from either Find Player on PlayStation Network, Friends, Friend Requests, or Players Blocked. The messages is now changed from group messaging, and it's now called just Messages. So the layout again has been improved, and you can now send and receive messages with friends and players on the PlayStation 4 or on mobile devices with the PlayStation app, which we talked about in detail last week. The icon for the party application has now been changed as well, and it now allows you to voice and text chat with friends and players on the PlayStation 4. The email has also been updated. You can now sync the contacts saved in your email account from services including Gmail and Yahoo Mail. And it says on the VitaLounge.net if you want to find out how to do that. The Content Manager now allows you to use Wi-Fi to connect your PlayStation Vita to a PlayStation 3 and transfer data between them, although they must be connected in the same network. The Remote Play application name is now called PlayStation 3 Remote Play, obviously, because we've now got the PlayStation 4 Link app. And you can also now download future system updates automatically. The last thing that they've included is that you can now display trophies of PlayStation 4 software on the PlayStation Vita as well. So there's a fair few things in there. I mean, for me personally, the PlayStation 4 Link app is going to be the only thing of huge relevance. I mean, I'm looking at getting a PlayStation 4. I've now finally pre-ordered one, and I'm hoping that it's going to arrive not too far after launch and hopefully the right side of Christmas. But as far as everything else is concerned, for me, I don't really use like email and party and messages. And I know that a lot of people do, and it's relevant for them. But for me personally, especially with the email or like the browser and stuff like that, I do that all on my mobile phone anyway. I don't have many friends on the PlayStation Network, so the messages are very, very slow.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't like about the update is how the new friends list, they took away the Vita image. So like when one of your friends is playing a Vita-specific game, it shows a PlayStation 3 controller or like similar to that, and then it says PS Vita on the side, which I really enjoy just looking at. Oh, that's an image of a Vita. I can tell that they're playing a Vita game. It's really upfront. Now I have to look over and see that it says PS Vita or PS3, and obviously soon it's going to say PS4. So that's just one of the things I don't like. But also, this update came a little sooner than I was expecting, so this is a huge tease for the PlayStation 4, seeing that PlayStation 4 app just sitting there. It's just gonna sit there and taunt me.
I can totally agree with that. The fact that the PS4 Link app is there and you can't use anything in it yet is driving me a little bit insane. But I do welcome some of the updates. The update to the friends list, the way that they've separated the categories and stuff like that. Very, very much liking that. Like to see, friend requests and stuff a little bit easier. The online status changer, like you can change for online status, like order or online ID. That's a useful feature. I also like the look of the party app and the messaging app changes. Looks pretty sexy compared to what it used to look like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, other than that, not a whole lot, really new. A lot of cosmetic changes and stuff like that, which I like, but they aren't very useful.
So what we learned here, everybody, was that Kyle doesn't like pretty things, and that Tyler doesn't like to read. Things you didn't know, you just learned exclusively on the VitaCast. This is what
apparently Brian doesn't like his job.
Well, I forgot.
And I have no friends.
Oh, the review codes just slipped. I don't know where they went, Brian.
What? Okay, so moving on to what I think about the update. Personally, I'm excited to use the Contact Manager without a wire. Using it with the Wi-Fi capability to connect your PlayStation Vita with your PS3 to transfer data is kind of why I picked up a Vita in the first place, to use it on the go. I don't want to use my system wired to anything, to be quite honest with you. And the fact that now I can download a game on my PlayStation 3 while playing on my PlayStation Vita and then transfer it after is amazing to me. And while this update may not be the be-all, end-all update for the PlayStation Vita, it's an unexpected facelift that did rejuvenate a pretty old operating system.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's a good option to add. My issue with it is the fact that they added the update to the PlayStation 3 like a month ago, and then they waited for this like a month to add it to the Vita, when they should have released them both at the same time, or at least been somewhat close. And then they did the exact same thing pretty much with this PS4 Link app, now we have this app that we can't use, and we're waiting for the PlayStation 4. It just seems like they keep teasing us, and it's not fair, and I'm getting mad now.
So you're starting to feel what a Shenmue fan feels like.
Yeah, pretty much. Yuki and Jasper here had some comments. I'm just trying to get back to them because you guys are flooding this chat room. All right. Jasper says, how much I care about this update. The parental controls are the most exciting part to me.
Woo!
Which I find...
Restrict his porn use.
Yeah.
He has to cut himself off sometimes.
Definitely. Better set it to an hour a day. Don't want to break your hand or something,
No.
And Yuki says for a full version upgrade, he would have waited for more for that than a new app and cosmetic changes. He would have preferred, something big to come other than these little minor details that they've fixed, I guess.
So just recently, Yuki's been spamming our chat thread real quick about a whole bunch of deals right now that we didn't know about till now. So, Brian, did you want to read those off?
Yeah, excuse me for sounding like a bit of a car dealer here. So I'm going to name a bunch of prices and a bunch of games. So just sit tight and it'll be over before you know it. We got Class of Heroes, which was $4.99, which is now $7.49 on the what I presume is the North American store. We also have Crimson Gem Saga, which was $14.99 as well, and is now $7.49 as well. We now have Growlancer, Wayfarer of Time. It's the classic game that everybody has to have, which was $19.99 and is now $9.99. Then we have the must-own Gungnir, which was $19.99 but is now $9.99. Then, of course, a household name for everybody, Hexy's Force, which is now $7.49 after being $14.99. And then we also have the kid-friendly Kenka Bancho. I'm presuming it's kid-friendly because a silly name like that, it has to be, which was $14.99 and is now $7.49. Then we have Knights in the Nightmare, which nobody wants to be, which was $14.99 and is now $7.49. And we have Persona, no numbers, just Persona, $19.99, which is now $9.99. We have the Spanish Riviera, or just Riviera in North America, which was $9.99 and now is $4.99. And Yugdura Union, which is a what I assume is a plumbing simulator, which was $9.99, but now you can grab it at the steal price of $4.99. And Yuki mentions that these are PSP game sales as well, and that Yugdura was derived from Yugdurazo. So if you guys were a little bit confused, now I've cleared it up for you. Those are RPGs, which, if you are not unaware, those are strategy RPGs. So you might want to pick those up if you're into strategy and you don't like titles. Those are what you need to buy.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Brian is never allowed to read anything on the podcast ever again. He has to either get it from memory and do it properly, or he's banned. That's it.
I think we need to do a new segment where Brian reads off Japanese releases.
Maybe
just pronounces that.
So, no, just to clarify, Tyler, Yugdurazo is the ancient tree from Norse mythology. So really? It has nothing to do with Japan, and I'm very educated, okay?
Who told you that?
Jasper. So take it with a grain of salt.
All right, next week I'm going to get like 3 titles that are from Japan for you to pronounce, and we're going to see how you do it. We'll make it some like little game. If you win, you'll feel better about yourself.
Look, I speak Ukrainian, I speak Russian, and a little bit of Portuguese. Don't give me any Japanese titles, and please do not give me any Norse mythology based on Yugdurazo, okay?
I'll do all of the above.
Okay, cool.
All right, so that's all the deals that Yuki surprised us with. So let's move it along. Let's head on over to listener mail with Kyle. Take it away, Kyle.
All right. This week we actually have 2 listener emails, though due to time constraints, we're only going to note the question on the first. We enjoyed reading your post, Lester, though it's a bit long to read on the podcast unless someone wants to use their auctioneer's voice.
I don't have that
Are
kind
you
of voice.
asking me to read something?
Oh, God.
Honestly?
No, Brian.
No.
For the love of God, do not read anything. Just pulling up his question here. So he says, many people scoff at not only the Vita, but all handheld games, claiming that all it has are ports or indie games or kiddie games. In other words, handheld gaming is looked down upon. Do you ever think that stigma will turn around in the West? He says he knows that in Japan, handheld gaming is huge, just massive. With the amount of people commuting and the small amount of space, the Japanese come to prize their privacy and actively look for ways to forget about that throng of people around them. It pretty much makes sense. Whereas in America, there's so much space, there's room for a giant TV and sound system and comfy couch, so why spend all your time looking at a small screen? I can definitely understand the reasoning, but can't understand the ignominy that handheld games suffer. He likes to have people to hate on something, or it's like people have to hate on something just for the sake of hating something. He wants to know pretty much what we think about that. So, Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, he has very good points in that, but I think what the Vita needs and handheld gaming needs is the true console experience, and the Vita is definitely one of the best, if not the best, example of console gaming on the go. And I think as technology advances and we get more, console-like experiences, it's going to take a while for especially the Western market to really realize how great handheld gaming is. And like you were saying, how Japan is much closer in proximity to everyone, and the U.S. or North America or the West is spread out more. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take maybe a couple more years, maybe another Vita if they decide to go into another model of the Vita, like Vita 2 or something. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, he makes a bunch of great points, and surely there are some cultural differences. Personally, while I live in North America, as well as Tyler and Kyle, we live in very different locations. I live in Toronto, which is one of the bigger cities in North America, especially the biggest city in Canada. And I have to say that there's a lot of commuting that goes on, and I see a lot of portable gaming in Toronto, personally. And I understand that not everybody's in the same boat. For example, Kyle lives in a rural area of Ontario, Canada, and perhaps in his area there aren't as many portable gamers as there are in mine. But I have to say that the PlayStation Vita is interesting in that it is always going to appeal to a niche audience, because as far as portable gaming goes, it is rather expensive when compared to the 3DS, but it does deliver a larger experience than the Nintendo 3DS. As far as growth, I'm not quite sure. Personally, I think that the potential for growth is much more promising in Europe and in the Asian markets, and but I'm not quite sure about the future in North America. I would like to think that there would be a lot of converted people, or people converted to the PlayStation Vita, because it is an excellent system and it does play host to amazing titles. But I can't foresee a future in which everybody jumps on board. I'm not sure what maybe Jonathan has to say about it.
In the UK, I mean, I don't know personally that many gamers. However, when I do talk about the PlayStation Vita and what it can do to people that I know, I wouldn't say that people sort of would look down on it or think that it has kiddie games. I mean, I've shown a couple of people that I know what the PlayStation Vita games look like now, and they're like, wow, handheld consoles can do that. So I suppose, in a sense, handheld gaming is an area that is definitely, it's gaining more popularity, but you have to kind of look at the market share of things like mobile phones as well. You've got all of these app stores and iPhones and all of those things to throw into the mix as well. So the handheld market is growing, but it's kind of shifting in separate directions at the same time. But yeah, the market's pretty strong here. I mean, my partner's 45 years old, and he's just got really, really excited because he's just got a Tesco Huddle, which is like a tablet computer, and he loves playing games and stuff on like that. But he also is very supportive of me and takes my work on the website very, very seriously. So as far as people thinking that they're full of sort of casual or kiddie games, I think that it is changing. I think there's still going to be some time until it does, until you can fit the kind of graphical fidelity that PlayStation 4 and that does into a handheld console is obviously not going to come for several years yet. But I think when it does, and when it becomes easier for developers to make things look more and more realistic, people will then sit up and start to take more notice of gaming as a serious media in the way that they do with like the film industry, and that's pretty much all I've got to say.
All right, well, I'll just jump in then, I guess. I just wanted to say that really, for me, the big stigma behind the Vita isn't that there's no games, or there's no games that are good that would sell, or there's no IPs that are like unique to the Vita, although there are few compared to some of the other consoles. The stigma for me is advertising. Really, I think the North Americans and Europeans are, I hate to use this word, but lazy enough that if they had the option and knew what they were getting into with the Vita, like beforehand, they would choose to go with the Vita just because of the fact that they could sit down on their couch, and if their wife is watching TV or their kids are in the way or whatever, they can pull out the Vita and just get lost in it. Even though it's like a handheld console, it really is something that pushes the graphical prowess of something that you would find on the PlayStation 3, especially with titles like Killzone Mercenary. Even Gravity Rush is a graphically pleasing game. Just the way it offers unique titles as well as ports, as well as everything just in that package, I think it could sell to the West. We just need to market it better. And that's kind of where we come in, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm still feeling sick, but I'll jump on for a minute or so because I have very strong thoughts on this. I find it very, harmful towards the handheld market that we in the West don't really consider it as much as a full gaming experience as the people in Japan do. I think that partially has to do with handheld games being more technically comprised, so you get more 2D platformers, more games which rely on a more ancient art style, one could say, so more colorful, more pixelated, and that puts people here in the West off, because while in Japan people, they're constantly on a move and they're used to anime. Anime is very big, and here in the West it's mainly high-resolution movies, and the focus is on realism in games, on that it looks realistic. And, you can't offer that as much on handhelds as on consoles. And I think that hurts it quite a bit. And, as has been said before, many people have access to a television, so they don't really need that handheld. And I think we should just, in the West, kind of, there should be a separate style for handhelds, and so that you play different games on handhelds than you play in home consoles. I think the 3DS is doing that quite well, and that's why it's also doing well. And the Vita needs to carve out its niche. Yuki says in the Western market, producers don't really care for handhelds, and I totally agree with him with that observation. He also said the Vita doesn't really need console-quality games. It needs unique titles to begin with, games that differentiate it from the console market. And as I said before, indeed, Yuki also agrees with me that otherwise it would just be playing a game on a smaller screen than you could at home, and nobody really wants that, I guess. Wants to play a game on a very small screen when they can play it on their, huge television. And only a very niche part of society wants that, because their wife owns the television or something. And he also says that the problem is that with the Vita, that the 3DS is cheaper, so it's offering really the handheld alternative. So people can play console games on their PlayStation, for example, or their Xbox, or their PC maybe, and then they have really that different handheld experience on their 3DS, and why would you then really need your Vita? And I very much understand this mindset of people. Well, I myself don't agree with it because I'm a handheld gamer, but I understand that many people think about it that way.
Yeah, without jumping too far into it, I know I said my two cents, but I really think that the Trojan horse in the West is using the remote play with the PlayStation 4. You can really see it with the 3.00 update that Sony are intent on taking over not only the portable space with the Vita, but also your living room and your entire house. They're looking to make it the companion for the PlayStation 4, which they believe will be very promising. So I believe that the future with the PlayStation Vita in the West specifically largely rests with the success of the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think it bothers me and worries me a bit that the Vita seems to be marketed as a companion to the PlayStation 4. Well, it really has so much potential, and it has already had so many great games that really differentiate it from what a companion to the PlayStation 4 would be.
Yeah, no, I completely understand, but perhaps the Western market needs a sort of Trojan horse in order to deliver it into their hands. As we've seen firsthand that Sony hasn't done a great job of marketing the PlayStation Vita, especially in the West. And perhaps the best way of demonstrating the abilities of the PlayStation 4 is to show that it can handle the power of the PlayStation Vita, is that it can handle the PlayStation 4's connectivity, and then therefore you have the PlayStation Vita in players' hands who may not have expected to do so. While I completely understand it's a completely different market, you have to find a way to sell this system, and if the traditional methods aren't working specifically in the Western market, you have to find a way. And I believe that Sony are a smart company, and they've learned from their mistakes, and they're going to find a way to get this system in the hands of consumers.
Yeah, I think indeed they're trying to create their PlayStation ecosystem where you have your Sony phone, where you have your PlayStation Vita and your PlayStation 4, and that's all interconnected, like with PlayStation Mobile and the Sony Web Store. So I think that could work, and I think that could higher Vita sales and higher developers producing games for it. So I think, Kyle, do you have some more for us?
Yeah, we're ready. I think we're ready to move on to the next topic, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
Cheer. All right, just one more reader email here from Mark. I'll just read it out here. Hey, guys. Thank you for the podcast. Just wanted to add a comment about Destiny of Spirits. I believe most of what you guys don't like about it is the waiting time before the spirits heal up, which I think is perfect for the game and the Vita. My points are listed below. Most free-to-play games now, except MMOs, massively multiplayer online games, do this. They give you a limited amount of turns or life a day. After a while it refreshes. Some games like Montezuma Blitz give 6 lives a day. His second point is that I think the game is good for traveling, since you don't need to grind because you need to refresh the lives of the spirits. You can pop the game out anytime without worrying that you've lost precious time. Anyways, I haven't played the game yet. This is just an impression of what I've heard in your conversations. Hope I somehow helped out, and sorry for the long email. I'll definitely try this game once it becomes available in my region. Thanks, more power, Mark. So what do you guys think?
I have to say, I can understand like the waiting time and the waiting times with free-to-play games. I mean, I did for a bit enjoy like Real Racing 3 on my mobile phone, and that has a similar sort of waiting mechanism, but it wasn't the waiting time as such for me that was the issue. The issue was that I found the battles to be very shallow and boring. I found that because they were so heavily automated, I ended up doing nothing but just sort of watching it in the end. And so it didn't really tickle my buttons. Like if I'm looking at an RPG, whatever type of RPG it is, the battle is where it's going to make it or break it for me. And, for me to be hooked on a battle, I want to be able to do different, special skills and magic and things like that. And from when I was playing it, you've got a bar at the bottom of the screen, and you can only use an ability a couple of times, and then that's it for the battle. So I didn't find it engaging enough. The waiting is something that you can expect from a free-to-play title. That's not really an issue for me, but I just didn't find it that engaging. What do you think, Jasper?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. And you also said the reader I forgot his name. What was it again, Tyler?
It was Mark, I believe.
Oh, Mark, yeah, you also said it would be perfect for traveling. Well, that might work if you have a 3G Vita, so you can connect through the internet, but I think that the game is quite reliant on connectivity with other people, so I don't think that would work that well. So while you're traveling, playing Destiny, because you would like an internet connection when playing.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Mark raises some pretty good points. I mentioned in my preview for the game, or my impressions based on the beta, that it can be addictive at times. It does tap into that Pokemon sort of collect them all mentality, and I get that. And there is a redeemable quality in that spirit summoning mechanic. However, that being said, even being free, the most valuable thing in the world to me is not actually money, it's my time. And with there being so many great games on the Vita, going back to that there's no games on the Vita argument, there are actually a ton, and I have a backlog bigger than any other console on my Vita, and I cannot afford to give my time to Destiny of Spirits based on its free-to-play mechanics, given my backlog of great titles that have come out on this system. So while I understand what he's saying, I respectively disagree.
The other thing I had an issue with on Destiny of Spirits is the engagement of the game. Like, there's nothing to keep you coming back for me. I prize story. I prize, something extra that I can get other than just, changing my spirit or whatever. There was nothing that kept me coming back. That's why I didn't find it a good game. It wasn't that there wasn't content there that was good. It was that there was nothing to keep me coming back, to keep me playing.
So, Kyle, you were working on trying to get us on iTunes, correct?
Yes, we should be on
iTunes,
hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out. If not, within a day or two. We're just working on a couple of fine details.
And it's going to have all 3 of the episodes, or just this one?
I believe it'll have all 3 when it goes up.
Awesome. So, hopefully, you'll be able to listen to us on iTunes.
No, we all love iTunes, okay?
Come on, Jasper.
Sorry. iTunes is great.
There you go. We're being paid by iTunes. Come on.
I think we should all thank Bobby for joining the podcast this week.
Oh, yeah, that was a great addition.
So everybody seems so enthused.
Bobby.
I know, everyone's just so happy.
I mean, the girl only took a time out of her day to speak to us about the great game Castle Storm.
Yeah, she was really nice, I thought, as well.
I know she's no community manager from Igidra, but that being said...
Okay. Well, we're going to have a new little section here at the end, Game of the Week. So I'm going to talk about, real briefly, about a game that I think deserves your attention, and I would encourage you listeners to email us your Game of the Week, and if we agree with you, I mean, we don't have to agree, but if you have a really good point, we'll put you in the Game of the Week feature. So my Game of the Week is Spelunky. It's a great 2D roguelike game that punishes you, but at the same time is just a blast. And it's one of those games that's extremely hard to do. I mean, when you get pissed off at certain games, you just want to stop. But this game, I get mad, and then I'm like, all right, restart. Let's get right back into this. And I believe it's $14.99. I could be totally wrong. So it's a pretty pricey PSN game, but I think it's well worth it. And it has a local multiplayer, which is awesome. I've done it a few times, and it's hilarious running around with a friend. Yeah, that's my Game of the Week.
So has anybody played Spelunky, or is Tyler all by his lonesome?
So I played the demo, and I thought, well, this is really fun, but I'm not going to buy it because the price point is too high for me. But it was really fun. It was really addictive. So yeah, you just smashing snakes and bombing walls, and yeah, you die often. And I did really like it. It's a simple game, and it's just fun. Game of the Week, buy it if you have money.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I mean, I gave it a 4.2. I did actually review the game, and although it's really, really hard, it's definitely worth playing because the randomized nature means that although you don't know what's coming next, whenever you die, you always kind of feel like it's your own fault. So you have to sort of weigh up whether you're going to be quick and rush through and be risky, or whether you're going to take it carefully. But if you're too slow on your way through, then a ghost comes and kills you anyway. So you kind of always have to be on your toes. And although it's really, really difficult, it's not frustratingly so, because you can dive straight back into it, and you can often find yourself playing through it and dying repeatedly over and over again, but playing it for quite a long time. So that's my 2 cents.
So personally, as somebody who's never played Spelunky, I want you guys to sell it to me as somebody who's completely unaware of. Like, I'm aware of the concept of the game, but sell it to me as if you were the PR agent for the developer.
Okay, I'm no PR guy, but it's hard to explain, just because when you think of a game that punishes you, kind of like you die so easily, how could that be fun? Like what John was saying is when you die, I mean, you get right back into the action. You feel like it's your fault, so you're like, if I do this, I can survive. And they give you all the tools necessary to survive. It's not like you're running out there being killed unfairly. So, like, one of my pro tips, I guess, would be picking up a rock and carrying that with you, because you can set off traps, you can kill the enemies on the screen with it, and that's a really good way to run through a level. But, I mean, there's a lot to offer. So you have, I know there's 4 basic worlds, I believe, and then there's, like, special worlds, which are really difficult to get to. But, I mean, for the price, you get a lot of content. And when you die, you have to restart from the beginning unless you get a shortcut. That is a good way to just start from a point where you wanted to, like, practice or something. So if you're tired of doing the first world, you just want to go straight to the second, you can jump right into that and practice that, and then you can do a full run. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's it's kind of hard to sell because it sounds like it's just going to piss you off the whole time.
So, as somebody who enjoys games like Demon's Souls, is it similar in that sense, where you get enjoyment from the satisfaction of actually pulling off a successful run because they're so difficult?
Yeah, I've never played that game, to be honest, so I can't really judge it off that, but it does give you that, you feel great when you pull off, a couple levels, but you're going to get pissed off if you die really far, so that's all I got. Maybe Jasper can
Yeah, Tyler, you're a terrible PR guy. I definitely wouldn't buy the game. Yeah.
Bring Bobby back.
Oh, God.
Yeah, maybe you ought to take some tips from Bobby. Spelunky is a very hard game, but it does reward you for getting it right. So it feels so satisfactory when you actually get far enough. So when you get through these worlds and you discover a shortcut, and you discover that you can kill the shopkeeper, it's amazing. It's just so much fun to just run through it and die, and then there's one time when you get it right, and then you feel great. Yeah,
so
that's
it sounds like a very difficult but enjoyable experience. I'll definitely be checking it out this week, because as the game of the week, you guys have made a good case as to why I should pick it up.
So who was the better PR?
Bobby wins, hands down.
All right, that's fair.
Either that or Yuki, because Yuki said nothing.
All right, so that was our game of the week, Spelunky. Like I said earlier, if you have anything that you think should be game of the week, email us at thevitalounge.net. Or nope, that's not right. Email us at podcast@thevitalounge.net. There you go. That's what it is. You can find us all on Twitter. You can find myself at Mr. PS Vita Reviews. You can find Kyle at Teflon Tactics, John at JHR Vita Lounge, Brian at Brian G. Sharon, and Jasper at JASBZ. And don't forget to visit the forum at thevitalounge.net/forum. We need some people to get in there. There's a lot of discussion going on, so feel free to get in there. A lot of us talk, so don't feel afraid to say hello and show your face to us. Dun, dun, dun.
Bum
face.